At the company dinner, I asked HR if they ever sent my promotion letter. She nodded. We sent it 9 weeks ago. Your manager said he gave it to you. I set my fork down. Then I guess he didn't tell you why he hid it. Her smile died, instantly. Their faces went pale. It's strange how the truth slips out when no one is trying to hide it. At the office, dinner, with the noise of cutlery and small talk filling the gaps between people who barely tolerate each other, I heard a sentence that froze my fork halfway to my mouth. It didn't come with drama. No raised voices, no confrontation, just H casually saying, "Oh, I hope your manager reviewed the promotion package we sent back in September." And that was it. A passing comment. A sentence she probably didn't even remember saying 2 minutes later. But it hit me like someone pressed a finger to a bruise I didn't know I had. I've been waiting for that promotion letter for 65 days. My manager, Patrick Sloan, told me 4 times they were still finalizing things. He said it like it annoyed him. Like HR was slow, inefficient, getting on his nerves. And I believed him. I trusted him the way you trust a mechanic with your car. You don't like it, but you assume they know what they're doing. But hearing that HR already sent it changed something in me instantly. Not anger, not even shock. Just a quiet, sudden clarity, like a light flipping on in an empty room. I sat there replaying the moment in my head, while everyone else was laughing about something at the far end of the table. My plate got cold. The smell of herb roasted chicken blended with expensive cologne, and the faint squeak of the waiter's shoes against polished floors. I remember all the details because my mind was trying to anchor itself to anything other than the realization forming in my chest. Patrick lied to me. Not a misunderstanding. Not bad timing. Why? I didn't look at him immediately. I didn't want to spook myself. Instead, I took a long sip of water and watched Patrick from across the table. He was laughing loudly at a joke he didn't even hear. His chair leaned back just enough to annoy anyone walking behind him. He always laughed like he was performing. A little too loud, a little too eager, like he needed the attention more than the joke needed reacting. I wondered then how many things I had taken at face value because it was easier. When the dinner shifted into that awkward downtime where half the table started checking their phones, I walked toward the buffet area where Scarlett, our HR director, was hovering near the desserts. I didn't go there with a plan. I didn't even know what I was going to ask. I just needed to hear her say it again clearly, directly to me. She smiled when she saw me. "Hey, you excited about the new terms? Should help you finally get some breathing room." I didn't return the smile. The terms. Patrick said HR was still working on them. Her face didn't change right away. It shifted slowly. Confusion first, then concern. Working on them. No. We finalized everything 9 weeks ago. I emailed the full package and CC'd the director. He didn't tell you. The words were simple, direct, final. No, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. He didn't. She bit her lip almost like she regretted telling me. Maybe he wanted to review it carefully before showing it to you. Patrick had never reviewed anything carefully in his life. Attention to detail wasn't something he believed in. He preferred the sound of his own voice. Still, I nodded politely. Maybe. She excused herself to take a call, leaving me standing there with a tiny spoon in my hand and a swirl of chocolate mousse melting in a glass cup I suddenly had no appetite for. My heart wasn't racing. My palms weren't sweaty, but something inside me tightened. A rope pulled just a little too hard. On my way back to the table, I caught a glimpse of Patrick accepting a wine refill with that smug look he got when he felt important. He looked relaxed, perfectly unaware that his lie had surfaced like a dead fish in a pond. I sat down quietly and pushed my food around. The conversation turned to vacation plans, weekend trips, inside jokes I was too distracted to follow. Someone asked me a question about quarterly projections, but their voice sounded like it was coming through a thick wall. All I could think about was the letter he hid, the promotion package. HR thought I'd already seen the opportunity he kept in his pocket like it belonged to him. And the longer I sat there, the more the rope inside me twisted slow and steady. It wasn't anger, yet, just a quiet beginning of something sharp. When the bill finally arrived and the group started the usual "I'll get next time" dance, Patrick clapped me on the shoulder like we were old friends. Good dinner. Right, he said, smiling. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time something in me didn't bend. It was informative, I said. He didn't notice a difference in my tone. He rarely noticed anything that wasn't about him. Before I continue, subscribe to this channel and write in the comments what city you're watching from. Because what happens when someone hides your career advancement is about to become the most expensive mistake this manager ever made. Driving home, later, I kept replaying the phrase HR said. We sent it 9 weeks ago, like a pebble rattling in my shoe. The night outside my windshield looked the same as always, but inside the car, it felt like the air had shifted. Not a storm. Not yet. Just a promise of one. By the time I reached my apartment, the rope inside me had stopped twisting. It had turned into a knot. The next morning, the office felt different when I walked in. Maybe it was just me. The same flickering ceiling light buzzed near the break room. The same scent of burnt coffee drifted through the hallway, and the same people shuffled toward their desks, with their usual half-awake nods. But something in the air felt heavier. Like the building was holding its breath. Or maybe I was. Patrick was, already at his desk, spinning slowly in his chair with one leg crossed over the other. He always sat like he was posing for a picture no one was taking. He raised his hand in a lazy wave when he saw me. Morning superstar, he said. Ready for another day of corporate excellence. He spoke lightly, but I heard the edge beneath it. He always used overly friendly lines when he wanted to distract or soften you. It was his version of camouflage. Morning, I replied, setting my bag down. I opened my laptop and stared at the screen, not really seeing the emails. All I could think about was that letter, the promotion package, the thing he pretended didn't exist. 10 minutes later, he rolled his chair toward my desk like he was drifting on a lazy river. So, he said, drawing out the word, I talked to HR yesterday. They're still working on your promotion bureaucracy, you know. His eyes didn't blink when he lied. They never did. I let him talk. Let him build his little stage. Anyway, he continued, I'll follow up with them this week. Don't stress. I turned my head slowly and looked at him. They said they sent it 9 weeks ago. He froze. Not dramatically. Not movie style, just for half a second like someone unplugged him. Then he forced a smile that didn't match his eyes. Did they? He asked lightly. Must have missed it in the shuffle. But, something in his voice cracked. A tiny fracture. A wrong note that hung in the air between us. I didn't push further. I didn't need to. His reaction said enough. Later that day, I ducked into the kitchen for water. Scarlett was there heating leftovers. She greeted me with a soft smile. I hesitated, then asked, Do you mind forwarding me the promotion package directly? Her eyebrows lifted, just a little. Oh sure, I thought you already had it. That sentence tasted bitter. She tapped her phone and said she'd send it before lunch. When her email hit my inbox, I opened the file, and just stared at it. Clear as day. My new salary. My new responsibilities. A director of client strategy position that should have been mine months ago. A role Patrick had been telling me wasn't ready yet. There was in black and white something twisted inside me deeper than irritation. A tight metallic feeling that spread through my ribs. But that wasn't even the worst part, because as I scrolled through the email thread, I saw a message from Kenneth RCO dated 2 months prior. Make sure Sophia gets this before October 1st. We're counting on her to start the quarter strong. Patrick had replied, absolutely. I'll review it with her first thing. My chest warmed, not with anger. With clarity. My name is Sophia Hayes. I'm 34 years old, and for 7 years I'd been a senior account strategist at Vanguard Tech Solutions, a mid-sized digital marketing and analytics company based in Seattle, Washington. When I started in 2018, fresh out of a failed agency where I'd worked 8-hour weeks for promises that never materialized, Vanguard was processing about 55 client campaigns simultaneously with a staff of 92 people and profit margins so thin the CEO was considering downsizing. The CEO, Kenneth Abbott, was 56 at the time. Self-made guy who'd started the company in 2003 and spent years building custom marketing solutions for regional businesses. By 2018, he'd built it into a respectable operation, but he was old school. Everything was relationship-based. Client management was whoever could talk the smoothest. Campaign tracking was literally spreadsheets and gut instinct. Kenneth hired me at $72,000 annually because I had analytics experience and was willing to completely rebuild his client engagement system from the ground up. My job interview lasted about 20 minutes. He showed me the chaos that passed for their campaign tracking system. The missed deadlines, the client complaints. "Can you fix this mess?" he asked, gesturing at a whiteboard covered in illegible scrolls. "I can build you a real system," I said. "But you have to let me make changes and trust the process." "You're hired. Start Monday." "I'm losing clients every quarter. We operate like this." I spent the first year essentially rebuilding everything. Implemented campaign management software. Set up automated client communication workflows. Created clear responsibility matrices for every project phase. Trained staff on new systems. It was brutal work, 12 to 14 days, 6 days a week. My boyfriend Alex stuck with me through it, but barely. "You're never home, Sophia. I'm starting to forget what you look like." But by mid-2019, the results were undeniable. Campaign completion time dropped by 42%. Client satisfaction scores went from 58% to 91%. Revenue increased from $13 million annually to $21 million. Kenneth was thrilled. "Sophia, you're a miracle worker. We're bumping you to $87,000. Keep this up." And there's more where that came from. I believed him. I genuinely thought if I kept performing, kept building the company, eventually there'd be equity or profit sharing or something that reflected the value I was creating. Over the next 4 years, Vanguard exploded. By 2023, we were processing 1 to 90 client campaigns monthly with a staff of 243 people in 4 office locations. Revenue hit $51 million annually. Kenneth bought a vacation home in Maui and a new Range Rover. Started taking month-long trips to Asia. My salary had increased to $123,000. Still good money, still better than most people. But I was working 7-hour weeks, managing the client operations that generated literally all the company's growth. I didn't complain. There's something genuinely satisfying about building systems that work. Every successful campaign launch, every glowing client review, every quarter where we hit our targets. Those felt like wins. Then came Patrick Sloan. He joined Vanguard in June 2024 when the company restructured and created a new layer of middle management. Patrick was 41. MBA from NYU, 12 years at McKinsey doing consulting. The kind of guy who could walk into any room and immediately dominate the conversation with buzzwords and frameworks. Kenneth introduced him as someone who will help us scale our leadership capacity and optimize our operational bandwidth. I remember thinking those words meant absolutely nothing. Patrick became my direct manager. Suddenly, campaigns I'd been running independently for years needed his strategic input before moving forward. Client emails I'd been sending for 6 years were redirected through him for quality assurance. Performance reviews that used to be straightforward became vague, filled with corporate speak about solid contributions and opportunities for growth and executive presence. Something felt off from day one, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Patrick was smooth, charismatic, always knew exactly what to say in meetings to make executives nod approvingly, and he was good at making you feel like you were the problem if you questioned him. "Sophia, I think you're being a little defensive here. I'm just trying to help you develop your leadership brand." I started second guessing myself. Maybe I was being defensive. Maybe I did need to work on my executive presence, whatever that meant. Then came August 2024. Kenneth announced at the all-hands meeting that Q4 2024 would include a major organizational shift. They were creating a new SUIT position, Director of Client Strategy. Someone who would oversee all client relationships, manage the entire customer success team and report directly to Kenneth. It was perfect for me. I'd been managing client relationships for 7 years. I knew every major account, every pain point, every process. Multiple colleagues pulled me aside after the meeting. "That's your job. They're literally describing what you already do. Congratulations. About time they recognized your work." I felt cautiously optimistic. For the first time in years, it seemed like the grind might actually pay off. 2 days later, Patrick called me into his office. "So, the director role," he began, leaning back in his chair with that casual authority he always projected. "Obviously, you're a strong internal candidate, But I want to manage your expectations. HR is still finalizing the job description and compensation structure. These things take time. How much time? I asked. Hard to say. Could be a few weeks, could be longer. You know how bureaucracy works. I nodded. Should I prepare anything? Updated portfolio case studies. He waved dismissively. I'll let you know when they're ready for that. For now, just keep doing what you're doing. 3 weeks passed. I checked in with Patrick twice. Both times, same answer. HR is still working on it. These things move slowly. By early October, I was getting anxious. Q4 was already underway. If they were seriously considering me for the role, shouldn't we be having conversations by now? I asked Patrick again during our weekly one-on-one. Any updates on the director timeline? He sighed like the question annoyed him. Sophia, I'm as frustrated as you are. It keeps saying they're finalizing things. I'm pushing them, but you know how it is. His tone suggested we were on the same team, both victims of slow HR processes. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? At lunch I walked past Patrick's desk. He was on a call laughing too loudly at something no sane person would laugh at. When he noticed me, he covered the receiver and gave me a thumbs up. Showman to the end. Back at my desk, I read the promotion package again. I didn't know what hurt more. The delay or the fact that he deliberately made sure I didn't see it. Not yet. Not until it suited him. He wanted control over the timing, my timing. And then came the moment that shifted everything a little further. Around 20 ordered, I overheard him talking to Addison from finance. He didn't notice I was behind the corner. I still think my guy would have been a better fit for the director role, Patrick was saying. But we'll see. Maybe HR will let me run a comparison once the quarter progresses. Her voice was lower, but I heard it, they already assigned it. Not officially, he said. Not until she signs. So, let's just say I'm keeping doors open. It hit harder than I expected. He wasn't just hiding the package. He was holding it hostage. I walked away before I could hear more. The hallway felt off. Too bright, too empty. Every footstep sounded like it echoed. I went to the bathroom, shut the stall door, and sat on the toilet lid, elbows on my knees. For the first time in a long time, I felt something sharp rising. Not anger, but the realization that someone I worked under for months never saw me as a person. Just a piece on a board he thought he controlled. And suddenly the game didn't look the same anymore. When I returned to my desk, Patrick wheeled over again, tapping his pen against my divider. Hey champ, quick thing, he began. I didn't look at him. We'll talk later. He blinked. Everything okay? I closed my laptop. Not yet. I walked to Scarlett's office before he could follow me. I knocked, stepped inside, and closed the door behind me. My voice stayed calm even when my heartbeat wasn't. I need to clarify something, I said. Did my manager ever request a delay on my promotion review? Her expression changed slowly, carefully. No, she said quite the opposite. He said he'd handle everything, and something inside me loosened. A knot untied itself, leaving behind something firmer, heavier. It was the moment I realized the ground under my feet wasn't solid anymore. But it could be if I chose to build something on my own terms. When I left Scarlett's office, Patrick was waiting near my desk, arms folded. What was that about? He asked lightly. I looked at him, and for the first time in months, I didn't see a boss. I saw someone who'd mistaken silence for obedience. We'll talk, I said again, grabbing my notebook and heading toward the stairs. His voice followed me. About what? But I didn't answer because I didn't know yet. But this was the moment everything would start unraveling. I didn't sleep well that night. Not because of anger. That part still hadn't arrived, but because my mind kept assembling pieces I didn't realize were connected before. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw someone else's fingerprints, all over the past few months. Patrick reshuffling deadlines for budget reasons. Patrick insisting I loop him into emails before responding. Patrick asking for drafts of things that had already been approved. Patrick pushing me to be patient about raises, promotions, new responsibilities. By morning, the pattern wasn't a pattern anymore, it was a map. I walked into the office just before 9:00, coffee in hand, and immediately noticed Patrick hovering over my desk like a bird guarding something that wasn't his. Hey, he said, with forced brightness. You left early yesterday. I didn't leave early, I replied. I left exactly on time. He blinked. Right, yeah. Sorry, listen before we start the day. There's a quick project shift I need to brief you on. Not now, he frowned. We need to align, we will, I said calmly. Just not with you deciding the timing, something flickered in his eyes. Twitch a crack. He tried to cover it with a smile, but I'd finally learned how to see through those. He stepped closer. Is there something I should know? That was the first sign of him losing grip. Patrick liked to pretend he ran the place, but he was terrified of things he didn't control. And I had just taken one step. Outside the circle he drew around me. I'll call you when I'm ready, I said. Before he could respond, my phone buzzed. Email from Scarlett. Per your request. Looping in. Kenneth, please, review the attached timeline of all promotion communications. And as I scrolled, something inside me lifted. Not hope, but momentum. Every single message HR sent was there. The dates lined up perfectly. One from 2 months ago, one from 7 weeks ago, one from 6 weeks ago. All marked with read receipts. And every one of them was answered by Patrick. I looked at the timestamps. He had replied within minutes each time, polite, composed, reassuring messages like, great timing. I'll prepare her. She'll sign by Monday. He had pretended to be the bridge while being the wall. I pressed my palm against the desk to steady myself. Not because I was overwhelmed, but because a new kind of clarity settled in. He didn't just try to delay my promotion. He tried to replace me. I stood up and walked straight to Scarlett's office. No hesitation this time. Patrick called after me, but I kept walking. When I entered her office, she looked up. Expression softening. You got the timeline. I did, I said. And I need to understand something. Why would my manager want to delay a promotion that was already approved? She hesitated the way people do when they want to protect the truth, not hide it. I can't speak to his intentions, she said carefully. But I can tell you he's been pushing hard for an external candidate to join your team. The room felt suddenly smaller. A candidate for what? She sighed. The role you were assigned for Q4. I roll yes. I leaned back slowly. Something inside my chest shifted. A quiet, precise break. Then, she added almost reluctantly. He insisted we wait on finalizing your agreement, he said. You weren't ready. That sentence lodged itself under my ribs. Not because it hurt, but because it confirmed everything I hadn't wanted to admit. Someone I trusted had been slowly rewriting my narrative. But the next sentence changed everything. Kenneth disagreed, she said. He said your performance metrics were the strongest on the team. She paused. He signed off on you personally. I swallowed. Does he know about the delay? We sent him the full thread. Pause. This morning, my pulse steadied, not quick and steadied. Something in me aligned with a click so clean it almost felt like fate. As I walked back to my desk, the hallway felt familiar again. The walls, the windows, the quiet hum of the ventilation. Everything was the same, but I wasn't. Patrick was waiting. He looked nervous this time, shifting his weight, tapping his pen against his palm. What's going on? He asked. I set my coffee down. You tell me. He forced a laugh. Okay, well, I guess we're playing the mysterious dramatic card today. Scarlett sent me the email timeline. His mouth opened slightly. There was the moment his mask slipped, barely noticeable, but I saw it. A tiny tremor at the corner of his lip. His eyes darted left then right. He looked for a script he didn't have. You don't understand how these things work, he said quickly. I needed to manage expectations before giving you the news. You mean hide the news? His tone sharpened. Look, sometimes leadership requires selective timing. Selective timing, I repeated quietly. Is that what you call it? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Listen to me, I've been doing you a favor. A favor? If I had given you that package too early, you would have signed it without understanding how much responsibility you were taking on. I'm the one who delivered the last 8 campaigns on time. That was luck, he snapped. The room stilled. Even his own breath caught on his choice of words. He realized it too late. He reached for a softer tone. Look, let me talk to Scarlett and fix this. We'll straighten everything out. Okay, but the shift had already happened, not in him. In me. He wasn't someone I feared anymore, he was someone I'd finally gotten a clear look at. I'll handle my own promotion, I said simply. His face tightened. Don't do anything rash. Why? I asked. Afraid your candidate won't get the spot after all. His eyes widened just a little. The smallest confession. I walked past him and sat down. He followed me like a shadow. We need to align, he said sharply. No, I replied, opening my laptop. We don't. At noon, Kenneth emailed me directly. Let's meet today, 30 Odrid. When I saw Patrick reading the same email, his hand actually shook. Not visibly to anyone else, but I saw the tremor. Then his eyes met mine. And for the first time since I'd known him, Patrick looked afraid. Not of me, of losing the thing he thought he built. And then came the moment that sealed everything. At 30:12, as I sat outside Kenneth's office waiting, I saw Patrick, walking fast. Uninvited, he closed the door behind him. For a few seconds, silence hung in the hallway. Then something crashed inside the office. Maybe a chair, maybe just a hand hitting the desk. Voices rose. Not yelling but sharp, clipped sentences. A minute later, the door opened. Patrick stepped out, and he didn't look like a man in control. He looked like a man whose last card had just been taken out of his hand. When Kenneth called me in, he didn't waste time. Close the door, he said. I did, and as I sat down, he looked at me with a calmness that felt deliberate. We need to talk, he said, and for the first time since this all started, I felt the ground shift toward me. Not away. Kenneth didn't raise his voice. He didn't sigh or soften anything. He looked at me the way someone looks at a report they've already studied. Calm, direct, and fully informed. I've reviewed every communication between Scarlett and your manager, he said. I've also reviewed your performance metrics for the last 18 months. He paused. You've exceeded every benchmark we set consistently. I nodded once. I didn't trust my voice yet. He leaned back. I'm sorry this happened. You should have had your promotion package months ago. The delay was inappropriate and from where I'm sitting, deliberate. Hearing someone else say it made the truth settle. Differently, not heavier, cleaner. Here's what we're going to do, he continued. You'll get your revised promotion package before the end of the day. New term stand. Your leadership role stands. His eyes narrowed slightly, and you'll be reporting directly to me for the next quarter. There was not drama, not revenge, just structure shifting into place. I breathed out slowly. Thank you, he nodded. You earned it, then almost as an afterthought. And one more thing. If anything like this ever happens again, anything at all, you come to me directly. I didn't need to say yes. It was already understood. As I stood to leave, he added more quietly. Keep delivering the way you have been. You're building something here. For the first time in weeks, I believed that. When I opened the door, Patrick was sitting in the break area pretending to flip through a magazine. He looked up fast. Too fast. Like a kid caught eavesdropping. What did he say? He asked, voice tight. I walked past him. He said everything he needed to. He followed me down the hall. Don't be cryptic. We need to align on messaging before the team meeting tomorrow. Not my job anymore, I said. He stopped walking. What does that mean? I'm reporting directly to Kenneth next quarter. I didn't turn around, but I heard the breath leave his chest. A small, sharp exhale. Not fear exactly, more like acceptance of something he thought he could outrun. The rest of the afternoon was quiet. Too quiet. Emails came and went. People laughed in clusters. Someone reheated fish in the kitchen and became the office villain for 15 minutes. Normal rhythms returned, but something in the floor felt different. Lighter. At 4:38, my inbox pinged. Subject updated promotion package for signature. I opened it. All the terms were there. Salary increased to $147,000. Bonus structure, leadership, responsibilities, start date. Everything he tried to delay had finally landed where it belonged. I scrolled to the bottom and pressed sign. The sound it made, that tiny digital confirmation, felt like a door closing cleanly. At 50 Odrid, as I packed my things, Patrick approached my desk again, hands in his pockets, shoulders tight. Listen, he began. I know things got messy, but we can fix this. Yay, we've worked together a long time. No, I said gently. We worked in the same building. That's not the same, he winced. You're being emotional. Actually laughed. No, I'm being precise. A few seconds passed, he swallowed hard. Are you going to the director about me? I zipped my bag. I didn't go to anyone about you. I went to the truth. The rest handled itself. He didn't speak for a moment. Then, barely audible, I messed up. I didn't respond. Some admissions don't need witnesses. He stepped back. So that's it. That's it, I said simply. No speeches. No revenge monologue, just an end. I walked out of the office and didn't look back. Outside, the air felt sharper, brighter. The kind of cool evening that wakes something in your chest, like you can finally breathe from a deeper place. I sat in my car for a moment, hands on the wheel, watching people spill out of the building in little groups. This wasn't triumph, not the loud kind. It was something steadier, a quiet internal click that said, this chapter is done. That night, I cooked dinner in silence. No TV, no noise, just the sound of a knife against a cutting board, the sizzle of a pan. My apartment felt different, like someone had opened the windows after months of stale air. I hadn't realized how much weight I'd been carrying until it wasn't there anymore. Later, I checked my email one last time. Scarlett had sent a note. Congratulations again. Your leadership onboarding starts Monday. Let us know if you need anything. Nothing dramatic, just simple, solid words. On Monday, everything shifted for real. Kenneth invited me to the Leadership Sync meeting, a room I'd never been in before. When I walked in, a few managers smiled politely, the way people do when they're trying to place you. Patrick wasn't there. Kenneth introduced me formally. She'll be leading the Q4 rollout. A couple of heads nodded in approval. Someone said, about time. The meeting started. Problems, solutions, deadlines, structures, real strategy. Real ownership. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't fighting uphill anymore. I was standing where I belonged. After the meeting, on my way back to my desk, I passed Patrick's office. The door was half open. He was sitting inside alone, staring at his monitor, shoulders slumped, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. He didn't see me walk by, and I didn't stop. Later that afternoon, Scarlett sent a team-wide announcement. Effective immediately. All campaign leads will report to Kenneth for the coming quarter. Patrick's name wasn't mentioned anywhere. At 60 Odrid, I shut down my computer, grabbed my jacket, and walked out the front doors with a calm I hadn't felt in months, maybe years. No victory lap, no adrenaline, no lingering anger, just a quiet, steady sense of rightness. Nothing dramatic happened on my drive home. No music swelled, no symbolic sunset painted the sky. I just drove. The same road, the same lights, the same turns. But the person behind the wheel wasn't the same. When I got home, I unlocked my door, stepped inside, and placed my keys on the table. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like something was hanging over me. The knot inside me, the one that formed at the dinner when HR said those words, had finally come undone. 2 weeks into my new role, something unexpected happened. I was walking past the coffee shop near the office when I ran into Harper, one of the senior analysts who'd worked under Patrick for 3 years. She stopped when she saw me. Hey, can I talk to you for a second? We sat down at a small table near the window. She looked tired but relieved. I just wanted to say thank you, she began. I don't know what happened between you and Patrick, but ever since you started reporting to Kenneth directly, things have been different. I tilted my head. Different how? Patrick's been quieter, less controlling, and Scarlett told me they're reviewing some of his past decisions with other employees. She paused. I think your situation opened a door. I hadn't thought about it that way. I wasn't trying to be a whistleblower or a hero. I was just trying to get what was rightfully mine. But sometimes standing up for yourself creates space for others to do the same. I'm glad, I said quietly. She nodded. Just wanted you to know. As she left, I sat there for a moment longer, watching people pass by outside the window. The city moved at its usual pace, indifferent to individual struggles. But inside that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride, not the loud, performative kind. The quiet kind that comes from knowing you did the right thing even when it was hard. By the end of November, Patrick was gone. No dramatic firing, no public announcement, just a quiet exit. One day his office was full of notebooks and framed certificates. And the next day it was empty. Someone from facilities came and packed everything into boxes. I heard through the grapevine that he decided to pursue other opportunities. Corporate speak, for we asked him to leave. Scarlett confirmed it to me privately over coffee one afternoon. Kenneth reviewed his management history across the board. She said carefully. Yours wasn't the only situation. There were other delays, other opportunities he held back from. People. I stirred my coffee slowly. How many others? For that we confirmed. All women, interestingly enough. She looked at me directly. You speaking up changed things. It gave others permission to come forward. I hadn't expected that. I thought this was just about me, my promotion, my career. But patterns don't exist in isolation. They repeat until someone breaks them. What happens now? I asked. We're implementing new review processes, direct reporting lines for promotions, more transparency. She smiled faintly. Things you've been quietly advocating for since you started here. It felt surreal, not just winning my own battle, but inadvertently changing the system that allowed the battle to happen in the first place. December came with its usual rush. Holiday parties, year-end reviews. Budget planning for the new year, but this time I was sitting at a different table, literally. Kenneth invited me to the executive strategy session. Something I'd never been part of before. The room was smaller than I expected, with floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the city, and a long conference table that seemed designed to make you feel important. I walked in and took a seat near the middle. Not at the head, but not at the far end either, right where I belonged. Kenneth started the meeting with quarterly results. Revenue was up 18%. Client retention was at 94%. He clicked through slides and then one appeared with my name on it. Our client strategy division has been the primary driver of growth this quarter, he said, looking around the room. Sophia's team closed 12 major accounts and renewed 8 contracts that were considered at risk. He turned to me. Walk us through your approach. For a moment, I felt that old instinct to minimize, to deflect, to say it was a team effort, and it was. But I also knew that leadership meant owning your wins, not just your mistakes. So, I walked them through it. The system I built, the relationships I cultivated, the processes that turned chaos into consistency. When I finished, the CFO, a woman named Caroline, who I'd barely spoken to before, leaned forward. This is exactly the kind of strategic thinking we need across all divisions. Have you considered presenting this at the January Leadership Summit? I hadn't, because I didn't know there was a January Leadership Summit. I'd be happy to, I said. Kenneth nodded approvingly. Let's make it happen. As the meeting continued, I realized something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't fighting to be seen anymore. I was already visible. The work spoke for itself. And now, finally, people were listening. After the meeting, as everyone filtered out, Kenneth gestured for me to stay. Close the door, he said. I did and sat back down. He leaned against the table, arms crossed, but his expression was warm. I owe you an apology. I wasn't expecting that. For what? For not seeing what was happening sooner. For creating an environment where someone like Patrick could operate the way he did. He paused. You shouldn't have had to fight that hard for something you'd already earned. I took a breath. I appreciate that. I mean it. You've been the backbone of this company for years, and I let someone else take credit for your work, control your trajectory. He shook his head. That stops now. It already has, I said quietly. He smiled. Fair enough. Then his expression turned more serious. I want to talk to you about equity. My heart skipped. Equity. You've been here 7 years. You've built systems that are worth millions to this company. It's time you had a stake in what you're building. He pulled out a folder. I'm proposing a 2% equity stake vested over 4 years starting immediately. I stared at the papers he slid across the table. 2% of a company worth tens of millions of dollars. It wasn't just a promotion anymore. It was ownership. Kenneth, I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep doing what you're doing. That's all I need. I looked at the contract, at the numbers that represented years of work, of late nights of believing in something even when no one else seemed to notice. I will, I said. He extended his hand and I shook it, firmly, confidently. As I walked out of his office that day, I passed the empty space where Patrick's office used to be. They were already converting it into a conference room. Erasing him wasn't the point. Moving forward was. That evening, I called my mom. She was the one who'd always told me to stand up for myself, to never accept less than I deserved. I hadn't told her about any of this because I didn't want to worry her while it was happening. "Hey honey," she answered, her voice warm. "How's work?" "It's good, Mom. Really good, actually." "Yeah, you sound different. Lighter." I smiled. "I got promoted. An equity." There was a pause and then she laughed. That full, bodied laugh that always made me feel like everything was going to be okay. I knew it. I knew they'd finally see what I've been seeing for years. It took a while. I admitted the good things usually do. "I'm proud of you, Sophia." Hearing those words in that moment meant more than any title or salary ever could. We talked for an hour about nothing and everything. About her garden, about her book club, about my brother's new job, normal things, life things, and for the first time in months, I wasn't carrying the weight of wondering if I was good enough. I knew I was. Christmas came and went. I spent it with family. Actually present instead of checking my phone every 10 minutes. Alex and I had broken up earlier in the year amicably, both realizing we'd grown in different directions. It hurt at first, but by December, it felt like the right decision. I was learning that sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is space. Space to grow, to breathe, to become who you're meant to be without shrinking yourself to fit someone else's expectations. On New Year's Eve, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine, watching the city lights twinkle in the distance. Fireworks would start soon, but for now it was quiet. I thought about where I'd been a year ago. Same apartment, same view, but a completely different version of myself. Someone who waited for permission. Someone who trusted too easily. Someone who didn't know her own worth. I wasn't that person anymore. The fireworks started bursting across the sky in bright colors that reflected off the buildings. People cheered from balconies and rooftops. The city celebrated another year, another chance. And so did I, not because everything was perfect. Not because I'd reached some final destination. But because I'd learned the most important lesson of all. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see it. I raised my glass to the sky, to the year ahead. To the woman I'd become. "Here's to building something real," I whispered. And somewhere in the cold night air, I felt the weight of the past year finally completely lift. January brought the leadership summit Kenneth had mentioned. It was held at a hotel downtown with executives and directors from all divisions, gathering for 2 days of strategy sessions and planning. I'd prepared my presentation meticulously. Not because I was nervous, but because I genuinely wanted to share what I'd learned, how to build systems that scale, how to maintain client relationships during growth, how to create accountability without micromanagement. When I stepped onto the stage, looking out at a room full of people I'd once considered untouchable, I felt steady, grounded. I clicked to my first slide. 7 years ago, I walked into a company that was drowning in chaos. Today I'm going to show you how we turned that chaos into the most profitable division in the company. For the next 45 minutes, I took them through everything, the mistakes, the lessons, the frameworks that worked and the ones that didn't. I was honest about the challenges, transparent about the failures, and clear about the results. When I finished, the room was silent for a beat. Then someone started clapping, then another. Then the whole room was applauding, and I saw Kenneth in the back smiling. That quiet smile of someone who knew they'd made the right bet. Afterward, at least a dozen people came up to talk to me. Directors from other divisions asking for advice. Managers wanting to implement similar systems. Even the CEO of one of our partner companies asked for my contact information. But the conversation that stuck with me most was with Caroline, the CFO. "You know," she said, "I've been in this industry for 23 years, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen someone build something from nothing the way you have." "Thank you," I said, meaning it. "I'm serious. Most people wait for permission. You just built it and proved it worked." She leaned in slightly. "Keep doing that. Don't let anyone make you small again." I nodded. "I won't." And I meant it. February brought a new test. Kenneth asked me to help interview candidates for a new senior role, trusting me to protect the team culture I'd built. The first candidate had an Ivy League pedigree, elite firm experience and all the right buzzwords. But as he spoke, I recognized the pattern, taking credit for team wins. Talking over the junior, recruiter, fishing for praise with that rehearsed smile. I'd seen it before in Patrick. After the interview, Kenneth turned to me. Thoughts? He's qualified on paper, I said carefully. But he's not right for this team. Why not? Because he reminds me of Patrick. Kenneth's expression shifted. Say more. He's more interested in looking like a leader than leading. He wants credit without collaboration. Hiring him solves for experience, but risks our culture. He nodded. I trust your judgment. Next candidate. That small moment meant everything. My voice mattered. My experience shaped the company's future. By March, my team had grown from 8 to 15. We were handling bigger accounts and driving record revenue. But more importantly, I was building the kind of team I'd always wanted. One that valued contribution over politics, merit over optics, and treated mistakes as growth, not failure. One afternoon, Claire, a sharp young hire who joined 6 months earlier, knocked on my door. I just wanted to thank you, she said. At my last job, my manager stole all my work. I was ready to quit, but here you've reminded me why I love this work. You earned your spot, I told her. I just saw what was already there. She smiled. That's more than most people do. In April, Patrick messaged me on LinkedIn. He apologized, citing insecurity, coaching, regret, and said he hoped I was doing well. I read it 3 times, felt nothing but wariness, and replied simply, I appreciate you reaching out. I hope you're learning and growing. I'm doing well. No drama, no closure needed. I was already whole. By summer, Vanguard had transformed. A 5th office, 60 new hires, revenue on track to hit 80 million. At the quarterly all hands, Kenneth singled me out. A significant portion of that growth is due to the leadership and vision of our Director of Client Strategy, Sophia Hayes. This time I didn't deflect. I smiled and accepted the applause. Afterward, Harper joined me by the window. Feels different, doesn't it? What does being seen? I nodded. Yeah, it does. You've changed this place for all of us. We changed it. I corrected gently. Together. I thought back to that company dinner, the fork frozen midair. The lie exposed by a single careless sentence. I'd stayed quiet for too long, believing patience would be rewarded. But it was speaking up that changed everything. That evening, I drove home the same route. But I wasn't the same person that I'd been tested, overlooked, lied to, nearly replaced, and I hadn't just survived. I'd thrived. Back in my quiet apartment, I poured a glass of wine. My phone buzzed. Mom, thinking of you. Love you, sweetheart. I texted back, love you too. Outside, the city pulsed with countless stories. Mine had found its place, not as revenge, but as truth. Your worth isn't defined by who sees it. It's built in the quiet when no one's watching. And when the truth surfaces, you don't shrink. You stand tall. You choose yourself. The knot that formed that night at dinner, tight, suffocating, was finally gone. I and its place. Freedom not from work or responsibility, but from doubt, from waiting for permission. From wondering if I was enough. I already knew the answer, but I always had been